This has a technical name that we call it in our school, but basically we're just going to call it our fighting stance, all right? So anytime you're in a situation that may get worse or somebody's kind of aggressive, you can just gently step 1 foot back. You're in a fighting stance at that point, and you're not saying, hey, I'm going to beat you up because you're making me scared, all right? So granted, this is better, don't get me wrong. We usually want to hands up if something's already happening. But sometimes that could escalate it instantly into a situation where the person says, oh, they want to fight. All right, so bring it on, you know what I mean? Now there is something else you can do a little bit that kind of can create and mimic this. Now this obviously is an aggressive gesture here. Everybody kind of agrees on that, right? My hands are up. He says, okay, something's going on, or on a box, or whatever. Well, a really good thing I got from a security guard friend of mine I trained years ago is what he would do was this. Almost like not say you're praying for please don't beat me up, but it's a very peaceful gesture. And your hands are up here, so that way if something were to happen, you need to protect your head and your neck. Especially if somebody pulls a knife out and tries to hit you, you can cover it up and just kind of protect yourself, or whatever the case, or they get a book or throw it at your head or something, you have your hands up. That's a lot better than having your hands in your pockets, saying, okay, I can't defend myself very good other than absorb the blows with my head, all right, which isn't the ideal thing. So now we're going to be doing the same thing, just really briefly. We're going to be doing a walk around thing. This time, if I'm the defender, my hands are going to be here as I step forward again. Also keeping my hands here. We're going to kind of get used to the hands being in this position. This is also getting us used to having our hands up close to our head. And you can try different things. You can do this maybe, or you can even kind of do this, as long as you're not like really locked up and you can't do anything. So, or even kind of like you're holding your shirt or something, or maybe you're trying to scratch your chin. Easier if you got a beard, like the men do that with a beard anyway. But or you can be scratching your head. That's the only thing. Well, let me think about this. But really, you're kind of protecting yourself. So feel free to elaborate and experiment with different things. But as long as your hands, preferably both of them, are up somewhere close to your head. All right, while we're doing this. Again, so he's walking forward. I'm here. Okay, you got that in? Real simple, right? All right, go. If I'm going to be the aggressor towards Jerry, Jerry, put your feet in the fight stance there, okay. If I start moving in, then Jerry's going to start moving back as soon as he realizes I'm in close distance. And if he doesn't move, stay put. I'm going to get him to smack upside the head, all right? We're not really going to smack each other apart. But you just kind of touch them, and they're like, I touch you, all right? So that means you got too close to the person. So we're going to kind of chase each other around in a slow, general kind of way. We're not really trying to hit each other and knock each other out. So then after a few times, then Jerry kind of start walking back towards me. And I'm working on switching the feet. You can kind of do a little stutter step, occasionally switch the sides a little bit. You get the idea? As soon as he starts getting too close, if that's too close, then you can hit me. Jerry, let hit me. That's it. Got it. So if you can do too close, go ahead and kind of touch the person a little bit. But at the same time, we're not running from each other here. Because if you're out here, you may not have the opportunity to run if you're behind a desk or something. You're limited on your space somewhere you can move. I know this is really basic and real simple, but this is kind of the groundwork, and we're going to work our way up a little bit. Okay?
Don't fight.
Alright, good. Alright, stop. Alright, so you got to, don't get me wrong, put your hips, twist your hips a little bit. That way you're a little bit smaller target for them to hit, and also you're not like exposing your vital organs and stuff. So when you step back the other way, you're sideways to here, I'm facing that way, but they're here. That makes sense? Okay. The idea on that and everything. From this point forward, whenever you're working with your partner, have your hands up. I'm not going to get a lot of emphasis on exactly where your hands should be, as long as it's generally up. You don't have to be like way up here or way down here, somewhere in the middle what's comfortable. If you want to do this, that's even fine or whatever. When we're doing strikes with our hands and our feet, just kind of keep your hands somewhere up in this general direction. In our school, we actually focus more on this, but if you want to do that, that's fine. But some people find you have to kind of train that. So I'm not really worried about trying to emphasize exactly where your hands are, as long as they're near your head. You're better than having them in your pockets, right? All right, to move on, we're going to go over 2 strikes. The first one's going to be the simple strike, and you've probably seen it before, and if you've already done it, you get some good practice at it. And that's going to be a palm strike. Jerry? So the palm strike basically is when you're opening your hand up, and your main target for this is going to be the nose or the bottom of the chin. All right? And if you have a tongue out there, you'll bite your tongue off. So again, it's going to be the nose or the chin. You could possibly strike the body, but it's not really designed for that. I mean, you see some of the movies, the guys go, ah, and all that kind of stuff. But it's really kind of more geared towards the nose area as far as it doesn't take a lot of force. It's not something you have to be really super strong to do. You hit somebody in the nose, their eyes are going to start watering. And that's it, the nose is going to start watering? Yeah. Their eyes will start watering, yeah. And when the eyes start watering, they're going to decrease their ability to chase you or see what's going on and everything, all right? So on this right here, your fingers can be in one of two places. They can either be like this, all right, or they can be like this. For me personally, I'm getting a little older, arthritis is starting to kick in. This is a little bit uncomfortable for me, so I prefer to have my hands up. So you can do either one, as long as your hands aren't out. There is another tactic you can do, which is a clawing attack if you got nails. But for now, we're focused on the palm strike. Also, you're hitting with the soft part here, not with the upper part. You hit with the upper part, it's going to hurt the wrist, right? So you don't want to hurt. You don't want to put too much stress on that wrist. So you're focusing on the lower part of the whole target here. You're going to be using a pad with your partner on this. When you're holding this, like Andrew, grab the top of it, wrap your fingers around it. Do not have your fingers straight. Put your fingers straight. Now, some people do this, and somebody hitting it, it's going to hurt your finger, right? So make sure you wrap your fingers around the loop on top. And you're going to make sure you're hitting here, and it's going to be in a slightly upward angle. And also, this is what we call a sinking strike. If you drop an anchor off a boat, it don't hit the bottom of the ocean to bounce back up. It goes all the way down and sinks into the sand or the soft sand or muck or whatever. So when you come in here, you want to strike, and you go all the way into the target. So it's not so much of a quick little hit. You could do that, but it's going to be a lot more effective on this one to go ahead and go all the way through. Because if you really hit somebody, boom, you can go ahead and take them all the way down to the ground with them. Just by go ahead and put those them off balance and everything. Especially if you wouldn't stand in a stance, right, Jerry? Mm-hmm. All right, everybody got it? Any questions? Everybody mastered it already? All right, cool. Now, grab a partner in the pad. An elbow. Now, the first one we did, we had that distance here where we were safe, basically, unless I move in or they move in. And as soon as I moved in, boom, I can strike them. But what happens if we move in this close? Or they move in this close, all right? So then you could do a palm strike, but you're a little more limited and not have near as much power. So that's where we're going to go into close quarter striking. And we're just going to do an elbow. And I do basic elbows coming across the body, in a horizontal line here, it's coming across. You can do all kinds of different angles, and from behind, boom, all that stuff. So for now, the pad's going to be basically right here. Put the hand up like a pad, Jerry. Right there, okay. And you're just going to keep both hands up by the head like we talked about. You know, see? And you're going to come across with an elbow. So when you come across, you want to make sure you don't hit your stiff in the head. All right, so you're coming across here. And the other hand's still up by the head, because this one, you're twisting more in your body. The other one was a straight in strike, right? So there was no twisting. This one, you have to kind of twist to kind of get your body and more power into it. So you're using more of your body weight behind it. And also, but because of that, we are kind of a little bit more exposed. So this is even more important to make sure that our hands up by the head. I'm actually kind of hugging this arm as I come across. So we're here, boom. The next, we're going to go do a couple of kicks. And then after we do a couple of kicks, we're going to do what I call a couple of actual techniques where you start to incorporate a couple of these things we just did into an actual attack scenario. For the first kick is the most simplest, because it's like you take a step every day. When you take a step, what do? You raise your foot up and you put your foot down, right? That's a kick. What we call is a stomp kick. You're basically stomping. The only difference is normally you put your foot down, you're kind of going gently, but you are going to your heel first, unless you just do something weird like your toes first or something. But so the same thing with a stomp kick, but the only thing is you're going to raise your knee a little higher than you normally would. So if you normally like to raise your knee up a little bit, that's not going to have a lot of power. But if you're stomping on somebody's foot, for example, or the side of somebody's leg or shin, you're going to raise it up a little more and then go down. Now, because we don't have, this is concrete floor, I don't want you to go really hard and like injure your knee or something, or break your foot or whatever. And we're not going to use the pads on these, so you can go ahead and lay throw the pads off the side. So basically, your hands are going to be hit by the head right? Because we want to protect our head, and we can get hit in the body all day long. But, well, not all day long. You get hit in the body more than you can get hit in the head. Get hit in the head, computer overloads, and then just shuts down, and then you're in trouble. So, for the stomp kick, everybody, we're going to do this together. Everybody bring the knee up, and down, heel first. Very simple, right? All right, then bring it up like that, and go back. You're going to bring it up, and down. And for right now, we're kind of stepping forward. It can be done for different angles. You can go to the side. You can even go backwards, all right? So if you go backwards, it's a little easier to kind of twist your foot a little bit because you can see, obviously, you're going to hit more with the ball of your foot, all right? And that's not going to have as much power as your heel is going to have, especially if you have a hard sole shoe on or something, all right? So, again, one more time, let's bring the knee up and stomp down. What we do with our breath whenever we attack? Breathe out. Why? Anybody? Why do we breathe out?
You don't want to get punched and lose your breath.
Yeah.
Go what?
You don't want to get punched.
You don't want to get knocked out. Also gives you more
Momentum.
power. Yeah, exactly. Gives you more power. All right. All right. So everybody just we're already kind of circle. You don't have to do this with a partner. Everybody's doing it at your own pace. Make sure you're on both legs. Try different angles. Try from the back and do both left and right. Go. But the next kick. Starting to get a little bit of height on it. Now, you're probably seeing a lot of these fancy kicks, the jumping up in the air, flying, spinning kicks, and all this kind of stuff. In a realistic situation on the street, you want to try to avoid those kind of flashy kicks. Don't get me wrong, yes, they may work in some situations, but it's a lot easier. It doesn't require as much training to be able to kick somebody down low, like the stomp kick we just did on the foot. And they don't see that happen as much. If I'm over here, well, I have to kick you in the head, not Jerry, or the body, or whatever. If I'm over here and we're in an argument, all of a sudden he swings at me or something, I can easily stomp on his foot, and he's not looking down there, right? His eyes are right here. As soon as if this foot comes over here, he sees his foot coming around, he's going to see that foot. So he's more likely to move it, how smack it out of the way or whatever, or move out of the way. Compared to this, it's blind. I mean, he may not see it in the periphery, not many people stare at the feet when they're talking to you. All right, so that's one advantage of staying down low. The next one's going to be a groin kick. It's still down low. You could do this also higher, but once again, it's a lot easier to do work down low. If it's a situation somebody's attacking you, kick them down low and they fall on the ground, then you kick them in the upper body if you want to. I'm saying snap. Everybody's probably done this, leg stretches, right? You put your hand out and you can go up, stretch your legs out both sides. That kind of is a kick, but it's not a very efficient kick. Because it's slow, they see that coming a long ways away, it don't have a lot of power. So by bending the knee up and actually snapping it out, it's going to have more power, it's faster, and the less chances of them reacting to the attack. The first motion is exactly what we just did with the stomp kick. The knee comes up. So you're doing exactly the same thing. You're snapping it out and bring it back and set down. You can do two different things. You can either snap and go forward, or you can snap and bring it back. Whichever is more comfortable for you, all right? On what you're aiming for, of course, is the groin, and depending on your shoes, how you would hit and what part of your foot you would hit. Those shoes right there, for example, you wouldn't want to hit with your toes and break your toes, right? The shoes he has on, the ones he has on, he could hit with the toes because it offers some protection. Especially if you have some pointy toe shoes on or something, those would be out. That would hurt. All right. But so what you can do, Jerry, I'm not really going to kick in the groin. I was telling you the free leg part. That's just a standstill, don't move. So if you have shoes that you don't want to break your toes, you can actually hit with the top part of the foot. So you're going to bring it out and here. So basically, you kind of point your toes straight forward. That makes sense? Yeah. The other option was to have your toes pointed. When you're hitting, when you're snapping, you're hitting with your toes. You can even hit with the ball of the foot, but that's kind of hard. You have to kind of twist, and it's that turns more into a pushing. Grab my foot. It turns into a pushing kick. I spin around into the other foot in midair. I'll be doing the some matrix move on there. Anyway, so for now, you're bringing it up. You're gonna snap it out and kick. Especially with a pad for now, everybody's hit with the top of it. Y'all too could, if you want to, go and try to hit with the toes and see how it feels with your shoes if you want. Grab the pad, Jerry, I'll show you. Sorry about that, sir. That's all right. That was your instinct, Jerry. That's cool. Your partner's going to hold the pad off to the side. Now, unless someone's really tall, we don't need to be that high. All right? So we're holding about groin height down there. You want to keep your hands up by your head, your feet are diagonal. You got a fighting stance here going on. And you bring it up and snap and set it back down. Again, slow, up, snap, and down. And then if you kind of get the idea of it, you kind of know what's going on, then you can start hitting a little harder. One more time. All right, keep your hands up, keep your body relaxed, and go ahead. All right, the first one's going to be swimming. Everybody knows how to swim? I hope. All right, some people can swim by their technique. Now, I always swim with my head above water, you're supposed to think, have your head underwater. You watch Olympic guys do it, but I can't do that. So on this situation here, you don't want to have your head like an ostrich, all right? Because you don't want to be exposing your neck. I mean, that's really a sensitive area if you get hit or something or cut with a knife. So you have your head kind of down, and you're basically doing a swimming motion. No, you're not doing this. You're not doggy paddling, all right? It's like a doggy paddle. You're actually coming all the way across with these big arching kind of motions. And your attacker is going to be coming up to your shoulders and trying to grab your shoulder, all right? So for now, we're just going to, and don't actually try to go in the fingers for now. I don't want you to get a finger broke or something. They're just going to kind of go in with a hand clasp, like those kind of trying to go in close to the shoulder area. And they can go straight across, or they can even go diagonal if they want to. And while they're doing that slow one at a time, okay, you're stepping back. Everybody remember the fight stance, but stepping back we did. And then the other hand comes in, stepping back, and then you continue the motion. Get slow, up, and then pick the pace up just a little bit. And we're swimming, go. You got the idea? All right. And then we're going to do it going back. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Back. Swim, swim. And then go back down again. You got it? All right, here, right there. Slow, if the person's coming in, doing the attack, you're coming in, attacking me dirty. As we're stepping back, you can't do this forever, all right? Eventually, you're going to run out of space. When you run out of space, you're going to say, stop! And you're going to do a palm strike. All right, there's two reasons for saying stop. One reason for safety, the person knows you're getting ready to punch them in the head, then they just stop moving forward. All right, so they don't run into your hand. Also, we're talking about a bit more in detail on this, on the yelling and stuff and everything, but it also helps you to breathe out, as we learned on your strikes, right? So it's kind of hard to talk when you're breathing in. Man, that was hard. Okay, so I was proving that I could do that. I've never done that before. But all right, so anyway, so you're saying stop, it gets your breathing out. Also, it's letting your partner know to stop moving, and also on the street, it gets people attention to what's going on to you. You want to say, hey, look what's happening over here. I'm getting attacked. That's why I'm striking this guy in the head. No, I'm not hitting him for no reason at all. All right. So again, it's coming in slow. Boom. Stop, and going for a palm strike. Got it? And on the street, they're probably going to be chasing you a little bit more, really trying to come after you, and they're going to run straight into that. Go. All right, on the thing about making noise, we actually had this happen. A lady that trained with us for several years. She was in Four Seasons Mall, and a homeless guy, she walked by, she didn't get no money. I guess it made him mad or whatever, and he had a little coin cup and all that kind of typical thing. And after she walked by him, he ran up behind her, grabbed her pocketbook. She was on the cell phone and she was distracted. All right. First of all, she shouldn't be in the parking lot talking on your cell phone, distract you. And so whenever he grabbed her and grabbed her pocketbook, she wasn't going to let it go. And she actually taken the guy down the ground. He had a bloody nose and 2 broken ribs by the time it was all done and said with. And she was on top of him, punching him. And when that was happening, people came over there and saw her beating up a homeless guy. They didn't see the first part. You know what I mean? So the cops came out there. Somebody called the cops. There's some lady there beating some poor homeless guy up. And they came over there and pulled guns on her and told her to get off the guy and all this crazy stuff until she had to explain what happened. So the thing about the noise situation, before you do something, you want to be making noise and screaming and all that to get people's attention. One, maybe they can call for help, and you have witnesses. You want to be as witnesses as you can get, all right? So that way they can collaborate the story and everything. And not only the noise thing, but if I'm here with Jerry and all of a sudden, ah! All right, see what happened? He kind of freaked out a little bit. He hit me in the chin. All right, but the yelling thing, I guess, and nothing else, they blink for half a second. That's all you need to be able to do a palm strike or kick them in the groin or stomp on their foot. I mean, it could even be a situation where somebody's pulls a knife out on you, you know, and you yell at them or something, or while you're escaping or something. That kind of distracts them, freaks them out for a little bit. That's what you need sometimes to react, whether it be to escape or to go forward or whatever the situation is. The move that you did right there was more geared towards escaping. Typically, that's your best bet, that's your safest bet to escape. Unless you're stuck in a corner somewhere where you just can't get away, that's when you have to end up taking somebody out on the ground, finish it until you can get away from them. But when you start dealing more with that kind of gets more into the training. And I recommend you stay away from the ground and you go into the ground, because on the street, you might take somebody in the ground, be choking them out, and then you don't know about his buddy that sees you beating them up and comes over and hits you on the back of the head with a beer bottle. All right, because you were like, oh, I got this guy in this awesome choke, and he's going to tap out, and I'm going to make him pass out and all that stuff. And yeah, it looks cool in the UFC, but it's on the street, it's a different story. So yeah, it's good to have some general training, do a little bit of ground fighting, do a little bit of knife fighting, a little bit of gun training, and all this stuff. Have a well-rounded curriculum and knowledge of a little bit of everything, but don't be so focused on one thing that that's the only thing you're good at. Because it's hard to say what's going to happen on the street. Even if you don't believe in using a gun, or you were never on a gun, still you need to go shoot one, because somebody may attack you with a gun one day, and then or they may drop the gun or something stupid, and you got a gun and you need to know how to use it. Otherwise, they're going to use it on you. Same thing for the knife. It doesn't mean you have to become an expert knife fighter. There's some styles that are awesome knife fighters. And if you don't want to be an awesome knife fighter, at least get a knife and practice cutting like at something like a piece of paper hanging by a string or something, or a piece of foam that you can stab in a little bit or something. So you know what it is to actually use a knife in case you have to get one from your attacker, or if you carry one, you want to be familiar with that. Since we're talking about weapons also, now some people will say you should never carry a weapon. I feel like if you are going to carry one, you just need to have the mentality that you are going to use it. If you pull a weapon out, whether it be a mace or a knife or a gun, you can't say, don't step forward, or I will spray you with this mace. You're a bad person. At that point, they could smack it out of your hand. All right. So if you are going to have something, you pull it out. The person knows you're going to have it. You got to use it, whether it may be a knife or whatever the case is. So keep those things in mind. That's what happens. You hear all these stories that some people say, don't carry mace, the man can use it against you, or even if a guy carries it, don't get me wrong, a guy can carry mace and somebody can take it and use it against you. But if you spray him first, that's likely. In the case of mace, it may not be the best option, because if somebody has some military training, or they're just really hardcore and they spray themselves, you can actually get used to it. I had a friend of mine that was in a ranger in the Army, and they constantly put them in rooms where they had to breathe for so many seconds before they could put their mask on. And that kind of training got him to the point that mace were almost not effective. I mean, just a little bit, but not a lot. So some of those things you can get a tolerance built up to it. So even if you were to use that, you have to keep in mind that's something you spray, you kick the groin, and maybe stomp on their foot, and then you run. You don't stand around and try to choke them out, all right, whatever the case is. Unless you've just done a lot of training. Even then, I mean, it's not crazy to get tied up with something, especially if your family's with you or whatever. You know, it's best just to get away from the situation, a safe distance, and call the cops.